Thank you for choosing this talk among all the other ones. And it's a tough choice. There's so many interesting topics you want to talk about, listen to. And I probably just start with a little bit introduction of myself. My name is Helen. I'm an occupational therapist, but also, besides being a therapist, I'm also a mother of an autistic son who is 19 years old, sitting in the back. His name is Koon. And is getting ready to go to community college. So the reason I'm talking about this topic today is because I felt like as a mother, if you know of any family who has a child with autism, you probably know that they oftentimes has to go through a lot of obstacles in order to get the services they need. Even in California, not to say in other states, they might not have a lot of services. And the fact that they have to jump through a lot of obstacles in order to get the services they need and to meet the need of the family. And a lot of times, these parents, the family, or even the relatives around them are actually having to take care of the family. They couldn't even hold a job. Oftentimes they think about the family. They are having to run to one services to the other, getting therapy here and there, meeting all the doctor's appointment, meeting with therapists to take care of the kids. Oftentimes they felt exhausted, depressed, stressed, just to say the least. And oftentimes when they think about the future, they don't really know because they just have to go to live at the moment. And by the time the kid reach high school, they start thinking about what are they going to do next. And oftentimes when you think about all that questions in their mind, what if? When they turn 18, what if? And all these questions come into your mind, and they oftentimes felt hopeless as well as feel trapped. And they don't know what the future will hold for their children, and they have to make all kind of preparation, legal procedure, prepare the worst, and all that kind of thing. So 2 years ago, I wrote I published my first book called An Arrow in My Quiver, Raising My Son with Autism, and basically just talking about my journey with Elliot. And as I learn and as I grow, I'm still on this part. Okay. Sorry, technical problem. And so I wrote the book for the desire to hope to encourage parents to look to God for strength and wisdom in this challenging journey, because there's so many decisions you have to make, so many situations that you don't know what to do. You just have to, if you don't have God, you just don't know what is the best situation, what's the best decision at the time. So that's why I wrote the book. But today, I really want to focus on attempting to make some suggestions in terms of what could be done, what could be what we can do in order to change the outlook of this autistic community. So today I will cover autism prevalence, the challenges, what are the challenges and strengths, what are some of the solutions I would recommend, and then we're going to show you a video of Elliot and our journey is to demonstrate the point, what I'm trying to convey. So the prevalence of autism in California, or actually in the United States, in 2004, 1 in 166 were diagnosed with autism. But it's 1 in 68 in 2014. So 1 in 42 boys and 1 in 189 girls. And there's no consensus as to why that's such an increase so rapidly. But what we know, with the estimation, it is estimated that 3.5 Americans are actually living with autism. And if the autistic adult, whether they have developmental disability or intellectual disability, oftentimes 85% of them could not find a job. So you can imagine if they could not find a job, by the time they reach to adulthood, who's going to take care of them? The resources that is available, basically relying on the government support and all that, the lifespan cost was estimated to be $2.4 million for those who had intellectual disability, but $1.4 million for those who without intellectual disability. And this is just a conservative estimation. So you can do the math. As the number increase, the resources that require is even bigger. So people with autism, are they just a number? Or are they actually gifts from God?
that are created uniquely in the way they are, with gifts and talents that are waiting to be discovered or be unpacked if they're given opportunity to. So a lot of times, these kids graduated from high school, they often do not have social skills or vocational, practical job skills in order to hit the competitive job market. A lot of them do not know how to advocate for themselves. And so they might be landed on a job that is not necessarily matching their skill set or their talent. And they might be able to find a job, but the job is not satisfying to them, not utilizing their skills and strength, and they might not be able to hold a job because of their social difficulties. So as a result, these kids will be ended up stuck at home, going nowhere, feel depressed, frustrated, and totally disengaged from the community. So what are the difficulties of these autistic adults or people? Because the way how their brain are wired, oftentimes changes is very difficult for them. Changes, like especially sudden changes, they find it very stressful. They don't know how to deal with the new information, or they take time to process it. They also have problem with sensory overload. If the information are too much, or too many people, or too loud, and information, or too much going on, too much sound, too loud, they need to develop strategies so that they can regulate themselves. Maybe they would put on a headphone, maybe they need some stress break, they need to pace themselves so that they would not be overload or becoming more problem. They also have a lot of social awkwardness. Oftentimes, they do not look at you eye to eye when you talk to them. Maybe they were avoiding your visual senses in order to process the information at the same time. But maybe they also have problem with knowing when is the right time to do certain things. They often ask you questions that are inappropriate to your perspective. They might ask the inappropriate question for the inappropriate person that they might be asking repetitive questions they might just already answered before. So oftentimes they just don't know how to relate to people socially. And as a result, they end up to making a lot of social mistakes. And people will kind of like isolate them. And they also have problem with organization. And oftentimes they don't have very good time management, and they might not able to start a job or start a task. They need some prompting, or maybe they need some help with planning and organizing the task. So despite of the problem they are facing, they do have strength. Look at this map. This is what is the map? It's a Hong Kong subway map. How many lines were there? The 9 lanes, actually. As compared with our bike train system, it's only 4 lanes. But for a kid like him, he would right away just zoom into the information and know where to find which station to stop. And even he was our GPS when we were in Hong Kong trying to find a location. So they're very good at attending to details. They're very, very good at visual pattern recognition. They are very persistent and very obsessive with things that they're interested in. They are perfectionists. They want to do it perfectly into details. And they like to follow rules. And you give them specific instruction, they would follow it, black and white, just very clear. But they are very honest as well. They won't tell lie. They won't know how to fake an answer. Just like somebody asks you, "Are you pretty?" They won't know. They just tell you right it is. So that you can imagine. Like sometimes we say, "Is this food good?" He doesn't know about like whether it's a polite or appropriate time to say, "Well, I don't like the food." But it's just they don't know how to fake it in order to get along with people. So in a way, it's also good because they're bold. They are very courageous. They like to. If they feel like this is something they need to do, they go get it and persist with it. And so that's all the good quality of autistic people. So with all this, you can tell that they have a lot of strength to offer. So how can we help them in order to utilize what they have, or even develop and help assist them to do what they could do best in order to contribute to the society and live a purposeful life instead of relying on public help or government support? First of all, on a personal level, we can be a friend. Among here, he has a lot of friends from our local church. And the friends just often come and encourage him, give him positive encouragement. And sometimes as a parent, I see him walking up and down the aisle into church worrying about whether people will complain about him in other circumstances. But people come to me and say, oh, I really like the smile he has. That just kind of take off a lot of the pressure from the parents. And as well, if you're being a friend of a family with autism, the best is to get to know them, to know what works for each one, because each of them has so unique difference. It's hard to say this always work with this family or that work with that particular family. So it's important to get to know them in order for you to actually know what takes and what is not, and what is the best way to help them, and also maybe even invite them to come along to lunch, and so that you can get more interactions going, help them to learn how to interact with people appropriately. And if you're in a church environment, I think it's very important as a church body to receive them, love them, and just make room for the family to be able to attend church, because this family, particularly, they are working so hard, so tired all the time. They need spiritual support, they need prayer, they need encouragement. So if churches and the body of Christ could create an atmosphere where they might not be able to fit into all the children's Sunday school, but maybe there's a room that they be able to go there, and the parents can listen to the sermon, get encouraged, and at the end maybe they can get prayer. There will be a place and location where these kids could be allowed to be who they are, and the parents get inspired, refreshed, as well to meet their spiritual needs to go on this challenging journey. So as the child grows, they get better, improve in different ways. They will be able to probably volunteer, and later on you will see a video of Elliot volunteering. And volunteering provide a lot of good opportunity for pre-vocational skill development, and also to give them a sense of achievement and purpose. And that could also be if you are a business owner or in a position to allow children to come to your office or your workplace to learn about actual work, real work situation, like providing internship. There'll be also a good opportunity for them to learn soft skills, as well as to build a resume in order potentially to can land on a job. And if all things does not work, and you can also help support them to explore entrepreneurship opportunity, where they can start small business, and helping the family to learn how to do that in order to incorporate the skill set the kid has, as well as the family need. So now I would like to show you a video of Elliot's voluntary experience to illustrate my point. So he's volunteering in an office setting, and he's learning how to ask questions among workers, photocopies, basic office skills. He worked with a checklist. They give him an email of illustrating all the things they need to do, and then he just work and check off one by one. He learned to pick up phones, answer phone calls from parents calling, entering data in the Excel spreadsheet. Photocopying, laminating, and even learned how to work in the bookstore in our church outside. And Nicole is very kind to just walk him through step by step. And even cleaning, which he doesn't prefer. Looks like he has some happy customer. And he was on the greeting team as well. So you see, there's a lot of things these kids can actually do as we're giving them opportunity. The main thing is to find what is their strength and develop it. So to conclude, I think there's one more slide, but there is hope in changing the outlook of the autism community if we work together to love them in practical ways. Thank you for coming.
We Mass Media, media empowering community.